Today we're working on Mozart's Divertimento in C major from Solos for Young Violists by Barbara Barber. Welcome. Welcome to the studio. My name is Cassie and I'm a professional violist and teaching artist. Today we're working on one of the songs from Solos for Young Violists, the Divertimento by Mozart. This is an arrangement from originally a cello piece, so I think it works really nicely for viola. As always, we're going to do a quick tutorial walkthrough of the piece, so grab your pencil. Then we'll do a slow playthrough and we'll do an at-tempo playthrough. So we're going to get started with our tutorial. I'm just going to go measure by measure and point out a few things that you might want to keep in mind as you're working on it. Right at the beginning, we have forte dynamic, so I want to set my bow right in the middle and I'm going to draw a pretty full bow. Set back kind of at the same starting point that I went to. Set. All these notes with dots on them, we need to play them really short. They're staccato, so lower half of the bow is the good spot for that. I'm on measure 3 now. We've got a really quick bow speed for that up bow, so that I want to lift it just, I exaggerated that time, but I want to lift it just a little bit. Set. If I keep my bow on the string, it impedes the ring from happening, and it sounds a little bit choked, so I want to make sure that I do a quick lift. Set. Same idea here. Lift, set. In measure 4, when I've got a smooth slur and then a slur with 2 dots over it, I'm going to do a smooth slur and then I'm going to do a stop, stop, stop bow slur for those 2 with the dots on it. So it's smooth, stop, stop. Same idea here. Quick up bow, set. Lift, set. Up, up. Forte now. Separate bow here. In measure 9, where we've got the dotted 8th note, 16th note, I want to make sure in my head I'm thinking 1 E and ah, 1 E and ah, 1 E and ah, 1 E and ah. To make sure that I'm playing the rhythm correctly there. So how that sounds when I'm doing it a little bit closer to tempo. 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and. I'm going to continue on. The last one of measure 10 is in 3rd position. So I just ended on that C. I want to replace that C with my 1, which brings me to 3rd position. And I'm going to plop a high 3 because it's a high 3 E natural. High 3, low 4. Shift back to 1st position. And even though there's no articulation in this addition on those notes, they should be a little bit shorter, not legato. No, shorter. Double stop. So here, I'm going to set my 3rd finger first, and I'm going to put my 2 really, really close right underneath it on the C string, so I can make sure that those are in tune. I'm also leaving my 3rd finger down in that measure, so I'm at rehearsal A. There's no need to pick it up because I'm going right back to it. Next measure, short, short, long, short, short, long. Lower half, and we're crescendoing to forte. Now in this next measure, there's a rhythm that you've maybe never seen before. It's got a 5 printed underneath it, which means that there's 5 notes. I know they look like there's 16 notes, but there's 5 of them. So we need to be able to fit 5 of those in one beat. What I say in my head, I'm going to say a word to help me play that rhythm correctly, is university. So when I play those notes, university. So I make sure that I play that correctly. It's not 2 eighth notes and then a triplet. That sounds uneven. We want it to be even. Università. Università. University. So hopefully that word will help you. You can come up with any word or any phrase that you have that's 5 syllables that will help you play that correctly. We have the same thing in measure 21. The sforzando in the part got kind of misplaced, so there should be a sforzando on the start of each of those 5 tuples. I'm going to start in measure 20, which is where we have that first 5 tuple. Up, and then I change that to an up so I can get a nice sforzando on the next one. Which brings us to rehearsal B. We're going to be in the upper half to start here so it can be nice and piano. watch your slur there in measure 28. There's 5 notes slurred, whereas before it had been 4 notes slurred, so that is correct. Just be careful for that. I'm starting right in that measure, 28. And I'm going to do a short bow here, so I stay in the upper half, so I can achieve that piano. 5 slurred, crescendo, 4. Now I just arrived at C, and I want to be at the tip because my next bow that I have to execute is a bunch of up bows. If I'm too low in the bow, it starts to sound a little bit crunchy and icky. So I want to make sure that the 2 beats before C brings me to the tip, so I have the full bow to execute all of those ups. Now again, we don't want a crunchy sound here. I know there's dots on them, but that, to my brain, and even underneath it says con grazia, with grace, doesn't mean, that's not very graceful sounding. So I'm going to make just a teeny baby stop in between all of those notes. You can also use your pointer finger to kind of pulse to make that happen. So I'm going to do, if I wasn't pulsing, it would sound like this. Just like one note, if I add a quick pulse, and it will almost look like my bow is chomping a little bit to help me achieve all those ups. So we're going to start right there on the con grazia. Stay in the upper half, and then back at the tip here. Same idea. Tip to the frog. Okay, that last measure of the first page, we again have double stops. So I'm going to play my first G, set my 1 on the A string, set my 3, and scoop my 2 up right underneath. For every double stop, there's usually a guide finger that can help us place the double stop more correctly. So in the case where it's an open string below and a finger note above, that's easy because you just have to do 1 finger, right? In the very last one where you have to place 2 fingers, my guide finger is my 3rd finger. So I know if I set that 1 correctly first, my 2 is going to know where to go. It might be different for you. It might be easier for you to find 2 first and then set 3 right next door. Either way, make sure that you're using one of those fingers as a guide finger. And again, I don't mean that you're going to set 2 and then like 30 seconds later you're going to set 3. It's almost instantaneous. It's 1 finger goes down, the other one knows right where to go. In the playthrough, there's a repeat here. We're going to skip that just because you know that you have to repeat it. For now, we're going to move on to rehearsal D, which starts in 3rd position. So I'm going to shift up, low 3, super high 1, super close 2. And I added a diminuendo there because in classical music, we never want to whack the end of a phrase. We want to be really graceful about the ends of our phrases. The next measure, 38th and measure 40, mid bow for this piano, and then we're doing that same thing we did at the beginning where we're going to do a slight lift on the up bow, lift, set. Stop, bow, lower half for forte, low 4. So I'm going to use that first note of measure 43 because that's the end of our phrase to bring me to the tip and barely touch that up bow. It's the end of our phrase again. Mid bow for 44, lift, set. Smooth, stop, bow. All right, next entrance is 47, forte. We want to use a nice full bow here. Low 1, high 3, regular 3, short. So we've got some fancy finger work that our second finger has to do here. It's going to start out on a high 2, then low 2, then back to high 2, still high 2. So you can practice this with just your left hand, high 2, 3, low 2, 1, high 2, 3, high 2, 3, until that feels comfortable. But I'm also letting my 3rd finger stay down and be my anchor. So while it was high 2, 3, my 3 stays down, giving my 2 a chance to kind of scoot backwards for that low 2. So if I did that slow motion, 3 stays down while 2 releases and moves backwards. It gets a little bit more complicated the next time we have that very similar phrase because instead of it being a regular one, it's a low one now. So I'm starting in 53 on beat 3. High 2, low 1, high 2. So just watch out for that fingering pattern there. And again, practice it with left hand only. Practice leaving your third finger down as an anchor so that your 2 can release and move backwards. Or just practice setting your 3 and moving your 2 high, low, hopping it back and forth. I'm going to continue on now. In 55, we've got another 5 tuplet here. So I'm thinking università. Università. Upper half. So that bar before E, again, we've got double stops. I'm going to set my 3, squish my 2 right underneath it because they're half step across the string. Right at E, we're piano, so we're going to stay in the upper half. I change this to up bow. 4th finger here. Then open. Low 4, low 1, regular 1, and then we're going to do stops. So stop bow there. Tip. So I want to make sure that I use those 2 beats before F to kind of weave my way towards the tip, because again, I've got a bunch of those up bows that we're going to use our little pulse pointer finger for. This is right at F. Pulse. Back to the tip. Back to the tip. Only to the middle bow here because I have a crescendo. And I want to be in the lower half form. Set your 1, leave your 1. So for that last chord, which is a quadruple stop, I'm going to play 2 notes. Feel like my elbow's almost falling off a cliff a little bit. It's kind of a severe drop to play at the top. So I always want to be sounding 2 notes. So it's 2 and 2 to have that chord sound nicely. Make sure that between the second to last note and the very last chord that you leave that 1 down because your 1 is your guide finger there. So now that we've walked through our tutorial, if there's anything I missed that you have a question about, post it in the comments. I'll try to help you from afar. We're going to go to our slow playthrough next. For our slow playthrough, my metronome is set to 80, so every click is a quarter note. We're going to just run through the piece. We're not going to do the repeat because you know that you have to do it. And then after we've done our slow playthrough, we'll do our fast playthrough. 1, 2, ready, go. slow playthrough, we're going to do our at tempo playthrough. I'm using the suggested metronome marking of quarter note equals 138. So again, I'll count to 4 and we'll do the whole thing. No repeat. 1, 2, ready, go. Thanks so much for joining me today. If there's anything I didn't cover, post it in the comments below. I'll really try my best to help you from afar. As always, thank you so much for joining me and happy practicing.